What's up, everybody? My name's Chance, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a look at all of the cards from War of the Spark that have been released thus far, which are quite a lot, so we may not get through all of them in this video, and as you can see, some of them are not in English. That's okay, because whenever you click on them, thanks to Scryfall, which is such a wonderful website, they translate it all over for you, so we can still take a look at them and still see the card art. So, yeah, we're going to have fun with it, and I just figure we'll do a kickback video because MTG Arena is currently under maintenance right now and only have a slim bit of time before work, so I figured this could be a cool little mini series we do to you know, just keep things moving. So first and foremost, we'll be doing it by color, which means we'll be doing it white, blue, black, red, green, maybe. But yeah, so we'll go through a couple sets here, and then I may do another video for the multicolored. I'm not quite sure how we're going to break down quite yet, but yeah, kicking us off, we have Johnny's Pridemate returning with some new art. Honestly, it looks pretty awesome as well, but same old Johnny, same old effect. Then we have Gideons Triumph. I'll try clicking on the cards so y'all can read them as well right here in the text. Target opponent sacrifices a creature that attacked or blocked this turn. If you control a Gideon Planeswalker, which shouldn't be too difficult given that there's going to be a lot of Planeswalkers, so maybe we'll have one or two Gideons in there. That player sacrifices two of those creatures instead. So, you know, it's kind of like a sweeper effect, not really. Attacked or blocked, and it's past tense, so what I'm thinking is like they're gonna have to have already done it, although the block thing is kind of nice. Most people won't be expecting it. I don't know, Gideons Triumph could be interesting. It should definitely be good in limited, that's for sure. Seems like some very cheap removal for limited, and it is uncommon, and it's interesting to note that a Johnny, I believe, is uncommon as well. Yeah, he is. Right here, uncommon in War of the Spark. Wow. So, is he uncommon in the Exile set he was put out in as well? I thought he was a common card. Maybe not. Again, that was before I really started playing and got into the game. Guilds of Ravnica was the first set that I was, like, in on, so I'm not too familiar with the cards that come before it. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Ignite the Beacon, a 5-mana card. Search your library for up to 2 Planeswalker cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. Yeah, great for a Super Friends deck, maybe. 5 mana. That's kind of expensive considering a lot of the Planeswalkers from what I've seen. Yeah, here's a Planeswalker 3 mana, here's a Planeswalker 4 mana. Planeswalker 4 mana. I mean, I guess it could be, I guess Ignite the Beacon could be good. It just seems a bit costly. Alright, 5 mana to get 2 Planeswalkers into your hands. I don't know. It might be worth it, depending on your deck. But, again, it's a bit costly considering the cost of Planeswalkers to begin with. Seems like maybe you just want to run more Planeswalkers instead of running Ignite the Beacon. Nonetheless, we move on to this weird board clear effect. Exile all multicolored permanents. So, I mean, I guess if you're going up against something that has like a Hydroid Crisis, but like, it just seems odd. Again, and it's at a rare. It seems like some odd board wipe, but maybe we're gonna have a lot of multicolored in this set. But yeah, 4 mana sorcery speed. That is interesting to note. Ignite the Beacon is at instant speed as well as Gideon's Triumph. But Ravnica at War is sorcery speed, so it has to be played on your turn. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Rising Populist. Honestly, a card that I'm super excited for, and I know a lot of you will be as well. Whenever another creature or Planeswalker you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Rising Populist. So, you know, throw 4 of these in the deck, then you make your Orzhov Sacrifice deck or your Orzhov Aristocrats deck. And then you just, you try and keep Rising Populist alive, which with things like, you know, I can't think of the name of it, but it's a 1 mana white card, keeps your creatures from dying, gives them indestructible for 1 turn. It also allows you to scry. Should be really good with Rising Populist. Seems like a really awesome card. 3 mana, 2/2 is what it comes down as, but the the effect is really, really interesting. Whenever another creature dies, that seems like an easy counter to stack. So maybe we'll see like a Rising Populist, biogenic adaptation, biogenic growth. I'm not sure. The biogenic upgrade. There it is, biogenic upgrade, where you double all the counters. That could be really good on like a Rising Populist Johnny deck, just to make some huge creatures, right? Or maybe even in a Bont Simic Ascendancy deck, or a Simic, what's the flying one? Oh, my knowledge is really being tested. But yeah, it seems like a card that could work across a plethora of color schemes, and even in just mono white. Just seems really strong, and it's only a common as well. So interesting to note that as well. Wow, that's really interesting for a common. I'm definitely excited for it. But yeah, then we have Teo's Light Shield, 3 mana creature. When Teo's Light Shield enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. So we're getting a lot of like counter mechanics, like a lot of +1/+1 counter mechanics, which is interesting. 3 mana as well, and it comes down as a 0/3. So this seems more like a kind of like a terrible wall for a wall deck, right? It is common, so this feels a bit more at home in the commons. 0/3, 3 mana, put 1 +1/+1 counter on target creature. Yeah, I mean, it's a common. You probably won't be super happy about it, but maybe you can make it work in a high alert deck or something like that. Nonetheless, we move on to our first Planeswalker of the video, Teo the Shield Mage, which has a very, very interesting effect. You have hexproof. She doesn't, but you as like a life total do. You know, your face can't be targeted for, say, Thought Erasure or shocks or lightning strikes. So Teo the Shield Mage probably gonna be really strong. Comes down with 5 loyalty to start out. Has a -2 effect. Create a 0/3 white wall creature token with Defender. So yeah, again, this is kind of aimed at those like high alert Arcades decks. The wall decks seem to be getting a little bit better. But yeah, the fact that it gives you hexproofs and gives you defenders, super interesting, and especially since we're gonna have the what is it, proliferate? Am I saying that right? Where's a copy of the card? Proliferate. Okay, I am. I was about to say, I feel like I'm getting some of the letters confused there, but anyways, now that we're going to have this effect coming in, I feel like our Planeswalker loyalties should be easier to gain, you know, even without having a gaining effect. For those of you that don't know, Proliferate, choose any number of permanents and or players, then give each another counter of each kind they already have, or already there. So this will work for sagas, for creatures, for Planeswalkers, for like treasure maps, I guess, if you wanted to do it for treasure maps. Simic Ascendancy, I guess it could work there as well. Just a lot of room there. So yeah, Teo the Shield Mage, expect to see a lot of her, especially at uncommon. Oh yeah. But moving on, we have the Wanderer, who is also uncommon. Can't tell. Looks like a female figure, right? Wearing like a skirt and got some bosom. I don't know. The Wanderer, nonetheless, prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control. So, yeah, really, these Planeswalker effects, at least the white ones thus far, have seemed really good, right? Prevent all non-combat damage. So that's like mono red out the window. Bye bye. Nonetheless, comes down with 5 loyalty as well. -2. Exile target creature with power 4 or greater. Okay, so this is like mono white's answer to mono red, right? And to mono green Stompy? Non-combat damage. Do effects like bite count as combat damage? I don't think so. I'm not for sure. I haven't read all the rules, but if so, yeah, this is a great mono white card to slip in against, like I said, stompies, against mono red. Could make best of threes mono white a little bit better. Cards like the Wanderer, maybe even Teo the Shield Mage. Nonetheless, we'll move on to the last white card that we've had revealed thus far. Wanderer Strike is common. Sorcery Speed, exile target creature, then proliferate. Choose any number of permanents. I'm not going to continuously read the proliferate. I'm sorry, English this morning, not my best friend. Not going to read it every time, so you guys can just remember the effect, and it's going to pop up plenty of times. So yeah, that's it. Exile target creature, then proliferate. 5 mana. It's gonna be a limited pick, if that makes sense. It's just gonna be some removal and limited. It's okay, and that's about it. Common, probably won't be playing it in any constructed decks. Not that I can see. Not that I can see. I keep thinking back to it like maybe, but nonetheless, we'll move on to the first blue card for the video, and we may just do white and blue here and keep the video shorter, and I may just release, like I said, a little series for it. So, when Augur of Bolas enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest onto the bottom of your library in any order. Okay, so this is a Merfolk Wizard. Sweet, we're getting some more Merfolks. Coming down at 2 mana as a 1/3. That's pretty interesting, and it seems like maybe we'll be able to play some more spell-heavy Merfolk decks, right? I mean, I already enjoyed the idea of using something besides Merfolks and expanding them a little bit, but it is also a wizard, so wizard decks getting a bit more cards there as well. Yeah, seems solid. For an uncommon, 1/3 comes down, you get to search the top 3 for an instant or sorcery card, so, draw a spell or a removal spell, whatever it is that you're looking for in your either Merfolk or wizard deck. Yeah, seems solid. Pretty happy with it. I'm not sure what's up with the awesome art for it, but we'll move on to Crush Dissent. It is going to be a common, 4 mana, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Seems... I mean, you do amass 2, but like, if you're paying 4 mana to counter a spell, you're probably already late into the game, and if you're late into the game, then your opponent's just got to not have 2 mana open, but it's rare, right? Later into the game. The later you get, the harder it is. But I guess this makes it to where you could have a full-blown control deck and get some creatures out of it. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll be better in limited than what I'm thinking, but just seems a bit steep, even with the amass 2. Normally you see counter spells coming down for 3 mana, or effects like this. You have Quench and Spell Pierce. Those are 1 and 2 manas. But Crush Dissent, I feel like it's gonna be coming down too late to really matter. But there could be more cards in this set that give you mana quicker, so I could be wrong about that. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Erratic Visionary, which is also a common, 2 mana, human wizard. Pay 2 mana, tap it, draw a card, then discard a card. So a little bit of a loot effect. 1/3, not bad for a common. Honestly, not bad at all. In limited. Well, in general, I guess, if you want to have a cheap loot card. This could work well in a budget deck, for sure, a budget wizard deck maybe. If you're trying to go aggro and just looking for the right card. Again, it's nothing special, but again, it's a common. So for a common, Erratic Visionary, not bad. We move on to our uncommon here, Flux Chandler. And I was reading through these cards a little bit before I did the video to make sure, I actually wanted to do it and that things were going to be interesting, and I wasn't just going to be like, oh, well, these are all the same or these are all boring. But no, we actually have some really, really interesting cards coming out in the next set. So, Flux Chandler, human wizard, comes down for 3 mana, 2/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, proliferate. So your Izzets, your Espers, your Zorius, your Jeskas, all all those decks that can use a lot of instant spells and sorcery spells to keep you controlled and to keep you down and keep you under just got a little bit stronger with this card right here. And they'll be playing Planeswalkers, of course, to give them the added benefits of like having hexproof, so you also can't target their face, and they can create these infinite little wall defenders if they want to proliferate on you know, Teo, or they can you probably don't want to proliferate on the Wanderer, but again, you can proliferate on the Teo and keep getting these defenders up with Flux Chandler. Whoa, excuse me, with Flux Chandler, so like you can kind of create an infinite little defender wall here with just 2 cards, which is really crazy, and they can't even target you because you have hexproof. So they can still take out Flux Chandler, but you know, you're playing 4 copies of it ideally. You'll be able to keep the cycle going for at least a little while. Nonetheless, we'll move on to a very interesting rare Jace Planeswalker. And here's the fun part. Well, we'll get to the fun part. Let's read through all the the details first. So Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, costs 4 mana, one of any kind, and then 3 blue mana. So very restricted, but I feel like this is gonna be like a very trolly card. So if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. So basically the mill win con just got flipped around. Essentially, if you mill yourself while you have Jace, Wielder of Mysteries down, you win, which seems, you know, fantastic in some people's minds. I'm sure some people hop on that and they're like, yeah, well, this is going to be fun, this is going to be fantastic and great. But you also need to remember that there are instant speed spells that can take out your Planeswalker. So if you go to play this card and as soon as they see it, you know, as soon as your opponent sees it, as soon as you draw your last card, if they have that removal, they sort of just kill you on their end step, you know, so you don't have any way around it or any way to draw the card early. They kill you on their end step, you draw the card, you still lose the game. So it's a bit risky. It's very, very risky actually, but it seems very fun as well. So target player for +1. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into the graveyard, draw a card. So it also works as a mill effect. If you want to try and mill them and you actually end up milling yourself, Jace gives you the victory for it. So I guess that's kind of cool. But nonetheless, you get to the -8 effect, which is going to take you a while to get there. Jace comes down with 4 loyalty, only gets +1 off of his first effect, so, you know, 5 turns you'll be able to. But nonetheless, draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, has 0 cards in it, you win the game. So it's kind of like his static effect, only it's a booster to it, you know, draw 7 cards instantly. But yeah, very, very interesting. He is a rare, so you know, there's that. If you want to play some troll mill decks, you can definitely pick him up. He seems very, very interesting. So now we'll move on to a Leviathan. I'm actually happy to be seeing more Leviathans in the deck than just the big old Leviathan that dealt with the merfolk and all that. I'm hoping to see more play with the fishes. So we'll move on to Kiora's Dambreaker. 6 mana Leviathan. When Kiora's Dambreaker enters the battlefield, proliferate. You know, pretty basic effect. It's a pretty basic card. It's a common. Comes down with 5/6. So this will be like a top end limited pick for Azorius decks or Izzet decks. I haven't seen the red cards yet, but I feel like there's going to be spells given the Flux Chandler and Gideons Triumph, things like that. It already seems very, very instant sorcery speed spell kind of oriented. So yeah, Kiora's Dambreaker should be a fine top end card. Then we'll move on to Naga Eternal, which is just a common 3 mana, comes down as a 3/2, and it's a zombie Naga. So not quite sure what a Naga is, but it looks like a snake scorpion thing. But we get another zombie, and it's in the blue tree, so that should open some interesting paths, maybe, unless it's the only blue zombie, in which case, of course, it won't. So yeah, just a common card, 3 mana. It'll be a slot filler at best. At worst, it'll be a continual skip over. So we'll move on to the 3 mana common card, No Escape. Comes down to instant speed, counter target creature or planeswalker spell. So you're going to be seeing a lot of spells that are sort of hinted more towards planeswalkers, as this is a planeswalker set. So of course they want to give you ways to deal with the planeswalker. They don't want to give you just a bunch of planeswalker and say, well, have fun, you know, battling planeswalkers out. They wanted to give us ways to counter them and things to kill them specifically. So you'll kind of see that throughout the set. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard and then scry 1. So kind of good if you want to permanently get rid of a planeswalker or creature. So like if you're up against Golgari deck or zombies, I guess, which zombies are, I think, supposed to be kind of a key point in this set, so could be really good. And then scry 1 is, yeah, No Escape, limited, should be fine. I don't see people playing it outside of limited, but it could be one of those cards that they sideboard for a specific matchup. So, you know, and it's only a common, so it's not going to be very expensive if it is one of those like sideboard cards. We'll move on to another common. So of course all of these early cards that they're spooling are just commons because they don't want to give away their good ones yet. They've already given us some mythic rares and some rares, but of course they want to keep the mass whole of them for later dates. So next we have Relentless Advance, 4 mana sorcery, amass 3. That's it, just amass 3. So put 3 +1/+1 counters on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So I haven't seen any army like things besides amass, so I'm not quite sure how we're going to be getting armies outside of using amass, but amass may just be the only army tool there is, and they're just looking to build up around that. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, 4 mana, amass 3. Basically 4 mana, create a 2/2. What? Put 3 +1/+1 counters, right? So say you don't have one, so you create the 0. That's your first amass. Oh no, okay, so it would be a 3/3 because it creates the zombie creature token first, then it gives them the 3. Okay, so 4 mana for a 3/3, and I guess it starts you up on an amass trail. For a common, sure, it's a bit costly, so you probably won't be playing it very much, but you know, it is what it is. And we'll move on to another common, Teferi's Time Twist. So anytime I see a card with Teferi in it, not gonna lie, I get a little bit scared. It is going to be an instant speed spell. Exile target permanent you control. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. If it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so this is for like those enter the battlefield type creatures, obviously. And then it also gets a +1/+1 counter, so like Teamer, maybe a Teamer type deck. This is kind of like a dive down effect. Sure, it costs a little bit more, but they also come in with a +1/+1 counter, so things like Shark to Crab, maybe? I'm very interested to see Teferi's Time Twist. That's actually could be a very strong card with this previous set that got released, with all the counter stuff that's on there. So, done with the white and done with the blue. We might as well go, well, we'll go ahead and go through the black as well, and then we'll save the red and the green and multicolored for another video. So, Bolas's Citadel comes down at 6 mana, legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. Whoa. And then you can tap it, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. So, a legendary artifact. That's And it's specific to black, right? So they are like specifically catering to the mono black artifact decks. This is interesting. This is very interesting, and I like it. Bolas's Citadel. All right, so it is just a rare card. It's not mythic. That's good. I mean, look at the top card of your library at any time. So it's kind of like a frenzy, right? But you can still use your hand as well. That's a key factor here. You can still use your hand. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. So maybe in like an Orzhov life gain deck, there's probably ways to gain life in black mana, but you could do like, again, I'm drawing blanks on what the actual card's name is. It's Sanguine Sacrifice, I believe, which is X and 2 white mana, and then you gain double X life. So could be an interesting thing to see with Bolas's Citadel for sure. And then sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. So if you have 20 creatures essentially that you can sacrifice, or 20 creatures slash planeswalkers slash enchantments slash artifacts, although that's not that difficult, right? If you do like a Smothering Tithe top deck, although if you can get to 20 tokens with a Smothering Tithe, you probably just use the Revel in Riches and win as well, I think. This will definitely be an interesting card, and you'll definitely see some people making it a play around, probably even me, if I happen to pick it up. Yeah, Bolas's Citadel, that is such an interesting card, and you could use it, like I said, with Smothering Tithe, and use it with these token generator decks, and just sacrifice all of your tokens slash your treasure tokens, and probably get to 20 pretty easily by the time you have enough to cast this out, right? It's 6 mana. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage. Nice, nice. Okay, so 3 mana. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in hand, Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage, I'm sorry, deals 2 damage to them. Okay, and then -1 target player discards a card. That's kind of awesome. So now we actually have a better win con for discard decks. So like Haunt of Hightower deck could actually come to life in a mono black deck. This is really interesting. I'm really enjoying the Planeswalkers. I gotta say, I'm loving the set so far. So it only comes down with 3 loyalty, so you can only do it 3 times. But given how much proliferate is in the set so far, you can probably keep Davriel alive a little bit longer. Just keep dealing damage to him, make him keep discarding cards, building your haunt. Seems like it could be good. Comes down at uncommon, so you'll see that a lot of the uncommons and a lot of the rares are semi-similar in the manner that uncommons have 1 ability, rares have 2 abilities, and I'm assuming, yeah, the mythic rares have all 3 abilities as the classic mythic rare planeswalkers did. Another interesting thing to note, how many planeswalkers there are makes it to where we can do these legendary decks so much better, because every planeswalker, whether they're uncommon or common, they're all legendaries. So yeah, and historic decks are going to be stronger too. Wow, this really opens a lot of gateways for decks. So yeah, I'm really interested for the set. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Davriel's Shadow Fuge. Shadow Fuge? Am I saying that right? Nonetheless, 4 mana sorcery. Target player discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. Didn't we already have this card? Is this a reprint? I believe there's a 4 mana mono black card out right now that does the same thing. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Nonetheless, it is just a common, so this will be worked in with like Davriel's Rogue Shadow Mage. You know, it's kind of his card. It's his related card. So then we move on to a rare 2 mana Dread Horde Invasion. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. Wow, that is actually really awesome. Furthermore, whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. Okay, so Open the Graves is going to be like super fun to play now, right? Like mono black Open the Graves is going to be super fun to play. And you're going to have to find some way to give your creatures lifelink, which I guess if you have a zombie with power 6 or greater, it gains lifelink. And a master is going to give you a zombie and give you counters on it. And then since it's a zombie army creature token, it should also get the effects of what is it? The Dread something? You guys know the card I'm talking about, the little 3 mana mono black card that gives all your zombies +1/+1 and Death Touch, all your zombies and skeletons, I should add. And it's an enchantment, rare card. So yeah, another play around. This is, and 2 mana. That's awesome. It's not legendary, so you can play 4 copies. You can lose 4 life each turn and amass 1. That could be interesting to see. Nonetheless, we'll move on to Herald of the Dread Horde. 4 mana creature zombie warrior. So yeah, these zombie decks are really gonna be a lot more playable. I'm sorry, can't speak. When Herald of the Dread Horde dies, amass 2, and that's it. So it could be an okay limited pick. Amass 2. You got a 3/2 and you're essentially trading it out for a 2/2 or 2 additional counters on a zombie army that you already have. 4 mana to come down as a 3/2 is not fantastic, but in limited it's not the worst either if you need a filler in your deck. And then the amass could work with whatever deck you're working with. Not to be repetitive in what I'm saying, but you know, it makes sense at the same time. So yeah, it's okay. It's a common and it's okay. That's pretty much what you hope for in a common. Basically, I'm just hoping that like all of the commons aren't just hot trash, right? Sounds fair, sounds reasonable. So then we have Caius Ghost Form. Enchant creature or planeswalker you control. When enchanted permanent dies or is put into exile, that's a big thing there. That means no matter what, whenever they remove it, unless they blink it back to your hand to get rid of the enchantment, obviously, return that card to the battlefield under your control. Whoa, holy shit. Okay, so Kaya the Planeswalker, you know, we saw her in some decks for like a very long haul finisher sort of, the Esper controls. But Kaya's Ghost Form, this is kind of like a mono black 1 mana. What's the card I'm thinking of? Dive Down, right? It doesn't give you hexproof, granted, but whenever they die or are put in exile, so the only other option your opponent has is to blink them back to your hand or blink them back into your deck to get rid of the enchantment or to destroy the enchantment, obviously. But if they don't have something like that, then whenever they kill your thing, and for 1 mana at a common, this should be pretty good. I may be overestimating the value of this common card, but it seems really, really good for 1 mana, right? Like, this seems like it should be read in every Orzhov and mono black deck, every Golgari. What? 1 mana too. Again, I could be overestimating that. It's just the exile that makes it so good. Because before, cards like Lava Cool were just like, aha, you know, the creature dies but doesn't get its effect. But with Kaya's Ghost Form, that it seems like it could be very good. And then we'll see our first mythic rare Planeswalker. Lilliana Dreadhorde General. So 6 mana. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card is going to be her static effect, which is super awesome for an Orzhov Aristocrats deck or an Orzhov Sacrifice deck. Then you get a +1 for create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Okay, so this is going to work really well with that, where was that at? Horde Invasion? Could work well with that. I'm not quite sure about Herald, but yeah, it could work really well with Dreadhorde. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. I mean, that's fine if you're trying to get rid of your creatures, right? Because every time a creature you control dies, you're going to draw a card. So essentially, you -4, you draw 2 cards. Hopefully, the creatures you're sacrificing are going to have some kind of effect, or you're going to get a little bit more effect than just getting rid of 2 of your tokens. But nonetheless, even if you do, you're going to get, you know, 2 cards. and then you're gonna get rid of 2 cards of your opponent. Since it's sacrifice, it hits cards that have hexproof. It hits cards that are like untargetable by you because it's them selecting it, right? So that's a very, very interesting -4 there, and she comes down with 6 loyalty starting off the bat, so you can already do that and get rid of a Carney T if it's out. If they only have 2 creatures, that's really good. Then you have -9, sort of her ultimate effect. Each opponent chooses a permanent they control and each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. Does that mean lands too? Holy fuck. Because it doesn't say choose a permanent non-land or choose a non-land permanent. It says each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. That seems crazy, right? So they choose 1 land and they're like, well, this is my land. They choose 1 creature, 1 enchantment, 1 artifact, and the rest are gone? That's crazy for -9. That's pretty much a game winner, right? Because she's 6 mana, so you're already going to be late into the game. And you have to get her to -9, so you're already at least, what, turn 10, right? Even in best case scenario. Well, maybe not if you proliferate. Whatever. You know, you're going to be around turn 9, turn 10 by the time you get to -9. But then they don't have any lands. And by turn 9, you should be somewhere around 5. Well, you should have at least 6 if you're doing this, unless you're using treasures and whatnot. You should have 6, 7 mana, you know, theoretically. Well, it should be later than turn 9 as well. It's not just going to be turn 9. You're going to have all that mana by then. But y'all understand the concept I'm trying to get at. It's going to be late enough into the game by the time you get to cast her down and get to -9 that this is pretty much a game winner. If you get her -9, it should close out the game. So we'll have 4 cards left. Moving on, we have 2 mana Lilliana's Triumph. It is going to be an uncommon instant speed spell. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. If you control Lilliana Planeswalker, each opponent also discards a card. Wow, that's actually really interesting. How many Lillianas do we have in the old sets? 1. That's in standard, I believe. Okay. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. That's that's usually hit or miss. It's usually not the best. So in limited, this probably won't be that fantastic. Actually, this is probably going to be a specific card in a specific deck kind of thing. But yeah, then we'll move on to Nicolas's Cruelty. Nicolas's. I don't know why people at Magic hate people that can't read. I'm sorry, I can read. I can't pronounce. You know, phonics and all that. I just sort of skimmed through it and did it real quick. Not gonna lie. Nonetheless, Nicolas's Cruelty is gonna be coming down at 3 mana. I'm sorry, I just saw the 2 and I was like, yeah, it's 2 mana. Nonetheless, 3 mana, instant speed, common spell. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. So just some solid removal. This is going to be pretty fantastic in limited, and actually it could be pretty fantastic outside of it as well. -5/-5, that hits a lot. A lot. That hits a Phoenix, right? -5/-5, 3 mana. Remove a Phoenix permanently. That's crazy. That's a really good card, especially for common. I feel like that's a very good mono black card. Nicolas is the Hate Twisted. Alrighty, cool art. I really dig that art. He looks like a gladiator, vampire, gargoyle thingy, mabobber. I don't know. 5 mana comes down. Is going to be an uncommon Planeswalker, so whenever an opponent draws a card, Nicolas, the Hate Twisted, deals 1 damage to that player. So could work in a mill deck, like a Dimir mill deck, right? Which we already saw a little bit of hints of before with the Haunt of Hightower, so we're just getting more cards like that, I guess. -2, destroy target creature. His controller draws 2 cards. I mean, you're going to destroy the target creature. You're also going to deal 2 damage to them, because whenever they draw a card, you know, deals 1 damage. It comes down with 5 loyalty. For 5 mana? I just can't see drawing them cards being very good, but you know, maybe I'm overlooking its strength here, or its whatever pizzazz it's supposed to have. Nonetheless, we'll move on to the last card of the video and of the black set that we've been revealed thus far. Skas Finisher. So it is a 3 mana Gorgon Assassin creature, common card. Whenever Skas Finisher enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Okay, for a common, that's not bad, right? So this could work very well in like a Rakdos deck that has like a Candlelight Fiend. Right, you swing in, you deal 1 damage to whatever you want, and whatever defends it, obviously. Or if nothing defends it, then you deal the 1 damage to whatever you want anyway, so you still get this finisher effect, which is really kind of good. You know, for a common card, 3 mana, at least in the right deck, it's really good. In the wrong deck, obviously, it's going to be like, well, this card's completely pointless. But in a Rakdos burn deck, Skas Finisher could be excellent. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I wrapped up all the white cards, all the blue cards, all the black cards. Tomorrow we'll do red and green, or maybe tonight, depending on how I'm feeling, because I'm off tomorrow. So may just go ahead and try to do that. But yeah, nonetheless, thanks for watching. If y'all enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like down below and a comment in the comment section if you have any suggestions on how I should format these videos, I guess, because we're not really doing a deck today. I guess if you have any suggestions for cards that could be player rounds, or like decks that you have in mind already off of looking at some of these cards, let me know down in the comment section. But yeah, if you want to take a look at War of the Spark pre-release cards yourself, just go to scryfall.com/sets/war, and it should take you here. So yeah, again, thanks everybody for watching. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, and yeah, we're trying to hit 1,000 before April, hopefully. Oh, it's already April. Nonetheless, I'll see you guys, or I'll see all of you guys and you girls and dogs and cats that watch me as well. I'll see everybody either later tonight, like I said, or tomorrow. And yeah, peace.